A little ways back, I modeled a very low poly gun, and today I'm going to model this very low poly rifle that I designed. Okay, I'll provide the image for you, and you can bring it into Blender and you can follow along, or you can just watch me. This is a very basic tutorial, but it covers some very important modeling techniques. Simple, but I mean, if you're a brand new to Blender, sometimes it can be a little tricky. So we'll try to walk you through this. All right. So over here in Blender, I'm in the default scene. All right. I'm going to hit A couple times to select everything, X, and delete everything. I'm going to switch over to Cycles Render. That allows me to change to GPU compute just based on my video card. Doesn't matter if you do that or not. If you stay in just Blender Render, that's fine. Okay. We need to bring that background image in, so I'm going to hit N to open up the side panel. I'm going to come down here and I'm going to make sure my screencast keys are on first of all, so you can see what I'm typing. And I'm going to put a check mark there for background images, and I'm going to click Add Image. I'm going to choose Open and navigate to where you've saved that image, and it's rifle.jpg. Open. I still don't see it. And that's because I'm not in an orthographic view, I'm in a perspective view. If I hit, say, 3 for side view and 5 for orthographic, I now see it. I only want to see this when I'm in the right view. So I'm going to, over here, I'm going to choose under Axis, All Views, so I'm just going to choose right. And I'm going to hit N to close that. So if I move away from orthographic view, or if I hit 1 for the front orthographic, I don't see it, but number 3, I will see it. I'm also going to try to center this a bit better. See, my 3D cursor is right here in the middle of the stage. It's not in the middle of the gun. So I'm going to hit N to open that up, and back at background images. I'm going to scroll down to here. This one will move it left and right. All right, this one will move it up and down. So I'm just going to move it a little bit like that. I'm going to hold the Shift button and the scroll wheel to pan, and then see that it's roughly centered, and that's good enough. N to close that. All right, holding the Shift button and the middle mouse button to get it right back roughly in the middle. Okay, so that's the image, and it's brought in. And now we're going to start modeling this thing. I'm going to base it mostly on a cylinder. So I'm going to go Shift A, and that'll bring up the Add dialog box, Mesh Cylinder. But before I do anything, I want to change the vertices to 8. And that'll give me this kind of squarish kind of thing. All right, back to 3. I want to rotate this so that it's along the axis of the gun, along the Y-axis. So I'm going to rotate this around the X. There's the X. I'm going to tumble this clockwise or counterclockwise around the X. So I'm going to go RX90, rotate X90, RX90. And I guess it went counterclockwise, but that's fine. That's now in the orientation that I want this, but we're not quite there. If I hit 1 to look along sort of like the butt length of the rifle, I don't like that shape of it. I want to change it a little bit, so I'm going to rotate this along the Y. Now this is the Y axis. I'm going to go RY 22.5. Okay, and see, now it's flat on top. All right, I'm just looking in the front view. I could look in the back view. 1 is front, Control 1 is back. It's the same deal. All right. So that's good, but I'm not quite there. I don't like the thickness of this. I'm going to go into edit mode, and I'm going to make sure it's all selected, and it doesn't matter if I'm in vertex or edge or face selection. It doesn't matter. I want to pull this in the X. So I'm going to go SX, scale in the X, SX, and just pull my mouse in like this. And now that looks a little bit more like the rifle butt. All right, cool. Let's get rid of this grid on the floor there because it's kind of distracting. So let's hit N, and let's go under, get rid of that stuff. Under display here, all right, uncheck grid floor. N to close that, 3 to look on the side. Excellent. Now, let's move this in the Y direction by pulling the arrow to about there. Okay, I'm going to hold the Shift and the middle mouse button, and I'm going to scroll my mouse wheel up to zoom in, and now we're going to start editing it. So let's go into edit mode, and I've got this pie chart. When I hit tab, I get this. You might hit tab and go right into edit mode, or you can do it down there. Right, edit mode. And let's hit A to select it all, but let's also go into wireframe, all right, so that we can see through it. Let's hit S to globally scale S and pull it in till it roughly matches the diagram. And it's not going to hit the diagram perfectly. The diagram I just drew in Flash, and so it's not perfect. All right, let's now go SY, scale in the Y direction only, to lengthen it out, and let's go all the way to the end. I see that I've hit the end here, but not here yet, so let's deselect. And in edge or face, or face actually selection, I guess any, or even vertex, doesn't matter. Let's hit B to box select and drag a rectangle and then release to get all of those vertices selected. And then let's just pull them out to there. We are going to worry about these notches, this beveling, later. So this is what I've got so far. All right, let's get out of wireframe for a moment so you can see that. Now, I want to do something with this end to extend it to make the next piece, which is this one. All right, so I like to work for this in face selection. Turn it, click to select that face, go back to 3. And we're going to do this piece here, but you'll notice that this piece is smaller than this piece. This piece ends way up here, this one is down lower. So I'm going to scale, but I'm not just going to go scale and do that. That's going to change the size of everything. I'm going to extrude first. I'm going to hit E to extrude, and that creates a new polygon right on top of the old one that I can now scale like this. All right, but I'm not seeing what I'm doing, so let's go in the side view. And well, actually, I'm not going to be able to see very well from here anyhow. I'm going to hit scale. And you can't really tell how much it's scaled. See, it's further than I thought. That's okay. I'm now not just going to pull it out, okay? I'm going to hit E to extrude and then pull it out, and I'll get a straight piece. This is quite a bit smaller than this piece, so that's all right. Let's pull it right to the end, approximately to the end, and then we're going to have to make it bigger, but all of it bigger. So let's, there's a couple of ways to do this, but one of the ways is when you have a piece selected, if I want to select all these as well, I can go Control plus and it'll grab the next connected region. If I hit Control plus again, it'll get these polys. Control plus again, it just keeps adding to my selection. I can also go Control minus, Control minus, Control minus, and I'm back to what I had. I want to go Control plus and select just those, look at side view, go into wireframe, and I'm going to globally scale. But I don't want to scale in the Y direction. I've already got this, the size, the length of it. I want to scale in every direction except Y. I want to keep the length, so I'm going to hit S, Shift Y. Shift Y means not in Y, so scale S, Shift and Y, and then pull. And I'm going to pull all the way up to there. Now, it's not perfect on the diagram. That's okay. Let's deselect it. Let's have a look. That's what we have so far. Cool. All right, well, let's go on. We'll do the notches and all that stuff in a bit. We got this piece, which is smaller than this one. So let's come over here and let's select this face. I did it in wireframe, and sometimes, by the way, you go to select that and you'll get the wrong face. So if that happens, go back into solid view. So you get that face, go back to 3, go back to wireframe. Now, I'm not just going to scale this down again like that, right? I'm going to hit E to extrude, scale, and I'm going to pull in a little bit like this. And if you can see my yellow line, I can actually tell the width that I will get. E to extrude again and come out straight. Well, that one worked out quite well. Let's come to there. And now we're going to make this piece, but forget about those little notches there. E to extrude, scale. And this one, you can't tell very easily how high it's gone. You know, you might think, well, is it this vertex? Let's find out. E to extrude. Ah, it's the top one. Well, that's okay. Let's go right to the end of it, to there. And let's scale this down. So let's go Control plus to get all of it right up to there. It doesn't include this section. It's just all the new area there. Let's scale this, but not in the Y. We already have the length. Scale S, Shift Y, pull down to about there. So far, so good. We got one more piece to do because the barrel is a separate object. Let's make this narrow piece by going E to extrude first, S for scale, pull down, follow the yellow line there, follow the yellow brick road. E and pull out. And we're not going to worry about the notches yet. We're going to come back to that in just a moment. Let's have a look at what we got so far. In solid mode, not too bad. All right, cool. Let's start to add some of those bevels or notches that we see in the diagram. Let's go back into edit mode, and in wireframe, these things here. Okay, now we may or may not do it exactly like the diagram. We'll see. Let's go B to box select right there, and that will select just that back polygon and not these ones. And the way we're going to do this is I'm going to bevel. I'm going to go Control B and I'm going to pull. Watch this. Control B. See the dotted line in the cross? I'm going to pull away and it's going to start to do this. And I get that. Let's have a look at that. All right. Now to do this one here, I'll show you it in wireframe. Let's make sure everything's deselected. To do this one, I'm not just going to be in box select that, although I could do it that way and that worked. What I tend to do is go into edge selection and Shift and Alt, hold down Shift and Alt and click part of that. And I get the whole edge going around. If I just hit that, click on there or there or there, I only get a piece of it. But if I do Shift Alt and click, I get the whole edge. It's the edge that I want to bevel. You're really creating like a notch between this geometry and this geometry. You have to have geometry on both sides of the edge. Back to 3, back to wireframe. I've got it selected. Go Control B, pull back, and I get this. Now, I need to be careful that this inner line, let's go back into solid view, doesn't extend past here, and it doesn't, so it's looking great. The next region I want to bevel is this. Really, any 90-degree angle is what I want to do. Let's make sure that that's something I want to bevel. Yes, it is. See, it goes notches up like that. So we got it selected. Let's go Control B and pull. And we'll get this. And just keep your eye on this part, that it doesn't go under this region. And that there's a little bit of a gap between what we just beveled and the next tube part, and there is. Okay, let's come up here. Well, this is too sharp. We're going to be beveling that. So Shift Alt and click that edge there. From 3, let's go into wireframe. Yep, that's got to be beveled. Control B, pull, and get an angle that you like. Doesn't have to match the diagram perfectly. Let's box select that edge. Okay. Control B. I got a little bit too much. What did I get? Let's select it all and remove doubles. Click remove doubles, and let's look up here. Yeah, didn't remove any vertices, so let's try that again. Let's Shift Alt and click that edge and do it that way. Control B. That's better. Had something else weird selected. All right, let's also Shift Alt and click that edge. And actually, yeah, that's fine. Control B, let's do this one. Just like that. I want to have a look at this end here and make sure I have a big enough region to connect the barrel, and it looks okay. So now we're getting that low poly kind of, bevel look to this. Let's make sure we save our work. And now we're going to add the barrel of the gun. But my 3D cursor is right here. I'm going to bring in a cylinder, but watch what happens. Shift A, mesh, cylinder, with the same vertices. It shows up at my 3D cursor. And then I have to move it around. An easier thing to do is to select the model and select the closest region to where you want to bring your object in and go Shift S, cursor to selected. Watch the 3D cursor, which is right there. Shift S, cursor to selected. It brings the 3D cursor to the region I have selected, and that determines where my next object gets brought in. If I go Shift A, mesh, cylinder, it shows up right there. Let's rotate this around the RX 90 and bring it forward a little bit. All right, and go into 3. Let's go into edit mode and wireframe, and let's get this the right size. Let's globally scale, just S. It'll scale it in all dimensions, so it's a nice cylinder still. Let's scale in the Y. Okay, that end's good. This end isn't yet. Let's box select this end and pull it down to here for now. Okay, that's looking just fine. Let's go ahead and do this piece. I've got just the end selected. So we're going to hit E to extrude and then scale it down and then E to extrude it out. E, S, bring it down, follow the yellow, E, and pull it out. And that can make contact there, or we can go X, faces, delete the face because it's going to make contact with this region. And look at what happens. It's a little bit, it overshot this space. I was a little concerned about that. Now, I could have beveled this after I put this on and not made such a bevel that it went in so much. Or I can now, in face selection, I can select all of these faces and scale them. A fast way to do that is just holding Shift and Alt and clicking on a line, and that will get the whole bunch of polys all the way around. I want to scale them in, but not just in one direction. I might as well scale the whole thing so it looks circular. So let's go back to number 3. Let's go into wireframe. And actually, let's not do in wireframe. Let's just look at this, maybe like this. You see, this goes over the blue line there. Let's scale this, but not in the Y. I don't want it shorter. I want this to join here and join there. So we're going to go scale Shift Y, and we're just going to look until it's inside the blue line. And if it doesn't match the diagram anymore, too bad. Okay, our model is more important. Let's go back into solid view and see what we've got. This is what we've got. Now, I think that's probably okay. Let's do some beveling though. Although you don't see it in the diagram, if I go into edit mode and wireframe, where is it there? This isn't beveled, but everything else is. So I really think that we should, in edge selection, Shift Alt and click that edge, go back to here. I really think that we should go Control B and do this, just like that. Because then when we look at the model, it'll all seem a little bit more like it's part of the same theme. All right, we're going to do the same thing down here, of course. So let's go into edit mode and let's select this edge, Shift Alt and click that edge, and in wireframe, let's go Control B, let's pull back and get a nice beveled edge on that there as well. Let's save our work. So this is a separate piece from this. We have 2 pieces and that's fine. We could join them, but we're not worried about that right now. Let's make a hole in this barrel. All right, let's select it, go into edit mode, and let's go into face selection, select that face, and before we just pull it back, let's make a little bit more of a rim. So let's use the inset tool, let's hit I, and it will already put a default amount. If I just click to accept that, you can see this row here, it's put that. Or I can undo that and I can hit I and then I can move my mouse and I can get any size I want. I'll just go for that. And then now I can hit the period key, by the way, to zoom in and focus on that. Then it'll rotate around that region. I'm going to hit E to extrude, and then with the Y arrow I'm going to push in. But I don't know how far in it's going. Well, I can tell by my gizmo, but I'm going to hit number 3 on the side, and I'm going to go into wireframe, and I can see it better. I'm just going to pull it way back. I could delete that face, but this is so low poly, I'm not going to bother. And let's have a look at that. All right, and that's what we get. Very nice so far. Our low poly gun, still pretty low poly. All right, so let's now do a bit more work. Let's do something easy and then something a little bit more challenging. Let's do this little fin-like structure on the top here. I want to bring in a cube to model that, but my 3D cursor is right here. I'd rather have it closer to here. Why don't we look from the top, number 7, and say, well, it's probably going to be around here. Let's go into edit mode. What if we, in edge selection, selected that edge and Shift S cursor to select it? That's pretty close to where it's going to be. All right, so let's go back into object mode. Now you can bring in objects in edit mode and they're part of the same model, but I often like to do them separate. So let's go Shift A, mesh, cube, edit mode, S to scale globally. Notice it's right there. Let's just move it. Check out the size. I want it a little bit embedded into the gun itself. Let's scale this in the Y, and then we're going to hit Z for wireframe, and let's zoom right in there. All right, okay. Now let's B to box select this top and pull it down. It doesn't matter if I'm an edge or a polygon or face selection right now. Let's pull this out to here. Now the one thing we need to be concerned about is how wide it is. We may not want it that wide. We might SX. Now this part you're using your own intuition for. You can't tell from the diagram. That looks good to me. All right, so that's fine. Last thing we need to do is that little angle. So just grab that edge, select that edge right there, and in side view just pull it down. Okay, so maybe this one is off now, so box select there and pull it out a bit, just like that. And we basically have what we wanted. The only thing is everything else is beveled, and this is just, you know, straight. So why don't we Shift Alt and click all of the edges around the side. Don't worry about underneath if that's selected or not, and do this side as well. And with those selected, do Control B, pull away until you get something like that, and then it'll follow the theme of what we're doing. Okay, so we have that. Very nice. Side view. What's next? Let's try this structure next, like a little something that we need to turn to I don't know, focus something anyhow. Let's bring it in on top of this. So let's look at the top view of the model, and it's going to go around here. So why don't we select face and select that, and Shift S, cursor to selected, deselect, and go back into object mode. And from the side now we say, oh, okay, so it's coming in pretty close to our 3D cursor. Let's use a circle for this. Let's go Shift A, mesh, circle. But before we click anything, let's switch this to 8, just like the cylinder. Now it's very big still, but it's only got 8 vertices. Let's go into edit mode, and with it selected, let's hit S to scale. Scale it down, but let's go back to the diagram there, and we can scale it again. Let's bring it up. Okay, so it's a little bit too small. So let's hit S to scale and get it similar in shape and position with the diagram. All right, so we have that, but it's just the outer edge. That's what a circle comes in as. Okay, I could have used a cylinder. So let's, for this one, make sure we're in edit mode. Okay, and I'm going to hit E to extrude and S. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to make sure I'm in edit mode and say vertex, selected, ES. I'm going to come in like that. ES, and it'll come in like that. I'm going to hit E one more time, and I'm going to go Alt M, which brings up the merge dialog box, and I want to merge all of those points in the center. I'll deselect, and you'll see what I've got. I've got that. The reason that is good is because if I select it all with hitting A and look at the side, I can now hit E to extrude and then pull up, and I'll get the geometry that I need as a bit of a circle. However, notice these light gray, it doesn't look the same as this gray. It's dark here and everything. That means some of my polygons are facing inwards. What you do now is you select everything and you go Control N, or down here, mesh, normals, recalculate outside, and it will make the normals of the polygons face outside, so the lighting is correct. Now we have that. Let's move this down. And by the way, my gizmo is down here and my object is here. We should once in a while go set origin to geometry and put it right in the middle of that. All right, let's select all this, put it roughly in the middle, and then let's scale the whole thing in the Z direction. And we'll get this. All right, maybe not so thick. All right, and you can use your discretion if you think that's too thick. Scale it in the Z. You know, whether you follow the diagram exactly or not, it's up to you. But all right, we got that. Okay. Now there is a little post, you know, that connects it to the gun. So we're going to do that. So let's go in face selection. Let's do our best to select this, and this, a circle essentially. And let's hit E to extrude and pull it straight down into the gun. Now you'll notice that it overshoots the side a little bit. It's a little bit too big. So do we have anything still selected? We still have the bottom selected. If I did Control Plus, I could get what's linked to that, stop there, and go back into solid view. I could scale this in, make it smaller, because there's no indication from the diagram how wide this is. Well, it's smaller than that actually. Let's scale this, but not in the Z direction, up and down. So let's go Scale, S, Shift Z, and pull it in to more match the diagram, and let's see if it overshoots the side. Now it's within the zone, so we are good. Cool. Now in the diagram, I have this thing that's like a little bolt on top. We can do more with this. We can, I'll go in wireframe. What am I doing? 3. We can make this a bit bigger if we want. I can grab the top and pull it up because we are going to bevel. And let's select the whole thing and bring it down. Let's do it like this. So it reaches the bottom, and then grab that top again and pull it up. Okay, let's make something that looks like this out of whatever geometry we have so far. Well, we've got these faces. We could select them. Now there's other ways to select, but for now we'll just click on them. Let's see, if I was to just bring that up, it's not wide enough. If I went Control Plus, see the way I get the next area? Let's have a look at that. That almost looks like the right width. What if I just went E to extrude, pull up? Oh, it's not quite, but wait, it's angled, isn't it? So what if I just scale? No, still not quite. Okay, that's not quite gonna work. That's about the angle that I want. If I go Control Plus again and I get that whole region, what if I scale this? I can globally scale, but I don't really want to scale in the Z direction. What if I do Scale, Shift Z, and just pull it in to about maybe there? Let's have a look at that and see how it's affected our circle. All right. Whether that was a necessary thing or not. Well, one thing we do need to do, though, is we're going to need to bevel these edges, these ones that are 90 degrees, that one, and I'll prove it to you. If we look at the diagram, see, that's beveled there, and that's beveled there. So what you do is you grab the outer edges, all right, and the bevel will really be all across the whole thing. You'll see. Control B, pull, something like this. Let's give that a try and have a look at it. Look a little bit like a flying saucer. All right, and now you might say, well, I can't really see much of the post, so we could pull it up a little bit. And now we have that. All right, I mean, it's low poly. It doesn't really look exactly like a dial, but it can work. It can work. Very cool. All right, so a lot of the same kind of modeling techniques. Let's look from the side. Let's do this piece here. I want this to come off of here, so I'm going to select it. I'm going to come to the bottom, and I'm going to, in face selection, grab that, because it's just easier. It's so central, might as well grab the whole poly. Shift S, cursor to selected. Deselect and come back into object mode. So my 3D cursor is right there. Side view, Shift A, mesh. I'm going to bring in a cube. I'm going to edit mode, and I'm going to just hit scale, and I'll go into wireframe in just a second. Let's do that now. Wireframe, our friend. Let's pull it down, but not quite down to there. Let's get inside the body of the gun, and let's scale it to the outermost parts, like there. Okay. Let's box select the bottom and pull it down to there, ignoring this part for now and ignoring the inset part. Now, the next thing we need to do is look at this from the end and say, wow, that's too thick. So let's scale this in the X to whatever you think is a reasonable thickness. We could try that. We could decide, and let's go back into solid view. We could decide if it needs to be thinner than these lines like SX, and it needs to fit right in there. That might actually look better. Let's do it there for now. Back into wireframe, and let's make this work. Now, what we have is a wider piece here and then a narrower piece. In other words, we sort of need to scale this in, but I can't scale it in right now. If I just scale, it all gets smaller. We're going to put in an edge loop. And the way we do this is we hover our mouse over the object in edit mode and we go Control R. If you hover over a vertical, you get a horizontal edge. Let me escape from that. If you hover over a horizontal, you get a vertical edge. I want a horizontal edge right here. So here's what you do. Hover, and it doesn't matter where, up here, 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 or on this side, doesn't matter. I'll put it right there, that cross. Control R. It still puts the edge loop in down there, roughly in the middle of the geometry. If I hover, let's get away from that. Escape. If I hover my mouse down here, Control R, it always puts the edge loop in the same place. But what you can do is click, for me it's a left click, changes color, and now you can move your mouse like this, and it will move. If I move my mouse over here, it doesn't come over there. It just moves along the sort of axis that you put it in. So I'm just going to move it up to there, just like that. And that's it. Now, let's have a look at the geometry. See, I've put in an edge. Now, if I go into face selection, I've split this poly in two, and this one, etc. What I can now do is I can select the bottom polygon, and all of these around. Now I can go hold Shift to add. I can go like this, hold Shift, click Shift, or I can select the bottom polygon and I can click on this line between two side-by-side polys. I can go Shift and Alt, like we did selecting edges, and that'll get the whole, connected polys at the bottom and that. Okay, let's go back to number 3, wireframe. Now, I'm going to pull this in, but not in the Z. I don't want to change the height. I've already set the height. But I'm not just gonna, I can't just go Scale Shift Z. Let's try it. Scale S Shift Z. It does that. It pulls everything. I need to hit Extrude first. E, accept. S Shift Z, pull in to about there. But there's one thing I need to show you. When this happens, it will scale inwards differently let me just go into solid view. In the Y direction and in the X. See the way it pulled in more this way and this way than at the sides. And so what you could do is you could now go SX and pull in a bit more. Or you could go SY, oops, not that, SY and pull out a bit more. Just to roughly even them out. That's it, you can deselect. Let's have a look at that. There we go. Don't forget to save. Let's go back to 3. Now you can't really see that line, and one thing you can do to help, there is an edge there, is you can hit N and come over to the side under shading, and you can click ambient occlusion, which will add some shadow to it. All right, and that helps you to model, and it looks cooler. Let's go into wireframe and see what we got to do. All right, cool. We're going to do this part later. These things I intended as little indentations because there's something I want to show you. Let's go into edit mode and in wireframe. And in order to make these box-like indentations in this handle, I'm going to have to bring in a lot of edge loops. And there's different ways to do this. I'm going to bring in horizontal edge loops. So I'm going to put my mouse over here. I'm going to go Control R, click, and I'm going to pull it into position. I'm going to just do it quicker. Control R, I'm just going to pull them in. They don't have to be perfect. Well, not in this world. We're just having fun here. And you can take all the time you want. I'm just going Control R and dragging in these things called edge loops. And as I'm doing this, it's cutting all the way around, even on the back side. I'll show you that in a minute. Last couple. All right. It's all the way around. But we also want this part here. So to do that, I'm going to bring in vertical edge loops. So I'm going to hover over one of these horizontal ones, go Control R, click, and pull to where I need it. Right about there. One more on the other end. Now it doesn't matter that it cut through here and here and here and up there, because all we're going to use is the regions we need. We're going to click here. We're going to need that region and that region and that region. But I like to do this in solid view. So what I'm going to select is that, shift and click, every other, and then the small spaces. And on the back side, the small spaces. There, just like that. So I've selected them on the front and the back. Now what we're going to do is we're going to extrude these inwards. All right? So essentially I'm going to hit E to extrude. That'll create new geometry. And then I'm going to scale them in the X direction. See it along the red arrow inwards. So here we go. But that's not all I'm going to do. So I'm going to go E to extrude, SX, and I'm going to pull in. And because I've got the back selected as well, it's also doing the same on the back. Pull them in a little bit, see on the back and on the front. Now, don't deselect, but go back into object mode. And because we have ambient occlusion on, you can see those regions relatively well because of the shadows. But watch if I take this off. From some angles, it's very hard to see this. I'll put that on again in a moment, but I want to actually scale these again. Let's go back into edit mode so that they're angled in. I don't want them just 90 degrees going in and then across and 90 degrees going in. Watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to scale in the Y direction with those selected, SY, and I'm just going to pull my mouse in like this. Now you get that angle, all right? That will help to catch light in a moment, but that's not all I want to do. I want to angle them in that way and up and down in the Z direction. But here I have a problem. Watch this, and it's happening on the back as well. SZ, watch them. See the way they're moving all out of position. Escape. That's because I have this set on what's called median point, the default setting. If I switch to individual origins just for this manipulation, it will treat each selected region as an individual. So I can scale this one in the Y, in the Z, sorry, and this one independently, individually. So with that individual origins on, watch this. SZ, pull in. You see that? Now it's angled this way and this way on the front and on the back. Deselect, go back into object mode. Without ambient occlusion on, see the way it catches more light? And it's a more interesting thing. Now, if I go over and I turn on ambient occlusion, even better. All right, gives a bit of shadow. Don't forget to come back to median point after that manipulation. All right, one more thing to do, and that is to do the bevel in wireframe. But edge selection is the easiest. We're going to select this bottom edge right there. That's the one. I'm not just going to pull it. I'm going to bevel. Control B. If I just pull it like that, I get this thing. Now be careful though. Don't pull it past or try to pull it past. Let me show you where I want to stop it around there. Past that edge. All right, right here. All right, just stop it at some point. Deselect. Come back to solid mode. And you have that. All right. Now, to make this match the theme with all of these other bevels, I would like to try, it's not always working that well, to bevel the edges a little bit. So what I'm suggesting is this. Shift and click this edge somewhere along here, and it should get the whole thing all the way down to the bottom. And shift and click that one, it'll add to the selection. Shift and click this one, and it should go all the way up and stop there. That's fine. And this one, Control B, pull away a little bit and stop. Decide how much you want to pull, and that will give it a that kind of look that kind of matches the rest of the gun. I hope it does anyhow. All right, make sure we're saving, and there's that piece right there. Obviously, you could do more detail. Okay, 3. Let's do the trigger. The trigger is going to come off this piece, so let's select this piece. Face selection, Shift S, cursor to selected to bring the 3D cursor there. So our next object gets pulled in. And, by the way, you could certainly join these pieces if you want to. I won't worry right now. Let's use a cube. Edit mode, scale, get it roughly where it needs to be, and then go hop into wireframe. Let's scale this in the Y some more. Center it a bit better. Scale it in the Y. Let's scale it in the Z as well. And I'm going to pull it down. I like it a little bit embedded into the body there. Let's scale in the Y a bit more. All right, good enough. Let's actually have a look. Oh, it is really wide, isn't it? So from the end, I can say, wow, that's going to be my trigger. So I'm going to go SX. And say, maybe I want it about that thick or so. Maybe we'll see. And by the way, does that fit into? Oh, it fits nicely in the groove. Let's try that and see how it goes. We can always change this. Okay, so I got that piece. I could bring in another object, but I'm just going to use this face right here. I selected that face, and I'm going to extrude it and scale it longer and then pull it down. So let's go E to extrude and then S and scale it out. Follow the yellow line there. E to extrude and pull down. Now, I'm not in wireframe, I can be. Let's pull all the way down to the bottom there. There. That's going to be the start of my trigger. All right. Now, obviously I'm going to be pulling this corner up to angle it. So let's give it a try. Let's go to edge selection, select that edge. I could be selecting vertices if I wanted to, and vertex. I could just select the vertices and do that. Same difference. Let's go ahead. Well, what? Should I pull it in the Z direction maybe? Does that. Y direction? Does that. What we need to do is put another point right here to sort of say stop at this point. You can use an edge loop. Control R, click, pull to about there, box select these vertices or the edge, right? If you're in edge selection, just select that vertex, that edge, and now pull it, and you're done. Well, we're not quite done, but we're almost done. There's my trigger. All right. To make it look good, why don't we Shift Alt and click that edge and this one and this one all the way around up to the top. Control B, pull back, give it some bevel, and that's it. All right. Now, do we want to do the bottom? Let's see how well it works. Shift Alt and click that entire structure. Control B, pull up a little bit. And we could do that as well. We could even try this sharp edge here. Shift Alt and click that edge. When it goes all the way around, it often will give you an indication that you're going to give it a nice bevel. I didn't do that up here. All right. We could try it and we'll see. Control B, pull back. Just give yourself a little bit of an angle. All right. It'll catch some light and it'll look like it fits in with the theme. We could come over here and try this, and with the exception of like rearranging polys, we may not be able to do it well. But let's try it. I think we can. Shift Alt and click that upper edge. We got it all in one, and it doesn't look too weird, so I think we can go Control B, pull back, and we get ourselves a nice little angle on this one as well. Now, we will have some problems down here, and it's because of this, it's not going to be worth it, so I'm not going to do it. All right? We don't need to in this video. How about that so far? Okay. Let's do this handle, and then we'll deal with some of the top stuff here. So now I'm going to select this face, Shift S, cursor to selected, and go back to number 3. Okay, 3D cursor's right there. Of course, we're going to bring in a cube, and in edit mode, we're going to start scaling, and then we're going to hop into wireframe, and we're going to position this. Wow, it's pretty good thickness. We're going to box select the top. I'm going to bring it down a ways. We'll keep it embedded a little bit. And box select the bottom and bring it all the way down just to get the outline of this first of all. And then we got to think about what we're going to do. All right, what the heck are we going to do? Wow. By the way, this piece here should probably come out the same distance as this. I'm not sure why I drew it that way. Let's start by boxing this in. Let's put an edge loop in here. Right around there. And it looks as if we're going to put another edge loop, deselect that, put another edge loop down here. And I'm going to assume, I think that this piece is the same width as this one. So that would mean this area here, I would have to bring in, squeeze in a little bit, and that's easy to do. In solid view, I find it easier. Oh boy, we forgot the thickness of this thing. Wow, we don't want it that thick, right? Let's scale this in the X, similar to the other handle. I can see the other handle right there. Maybe this one's a little wider. Let's just see if it fits under the gun. Oh, see, this is a bit narrower. You know what? That's okay. SX. This one can attach on the sides a little bit. We'll leave it like that for now. That's fine. But anyhow, what we want to do is we want to Shift Alt and click all of these polys. We're going to squeeze those in, but I'm not just going to go scale. That's no good. We're going to have to extrude first. All right, so I'm going to hit E to extrude, and we're going to scale, but not in the Z, not up and down. S, Shift Z, pull in, just like that. Now let's have a look again here, and you'll notice that it pulled in quite a bit in this direction, not much in that. Now which direction? You know, it pulled in quite a bit this way, but this one not so much. So let's scale this in the X as well, SX, and pull it in. So it's more reasonable, more even. That's just something that you have to do. Okay, cool. Now we're going to do these little notches. So I'm going to bring in an edge loop, Control R, and go like this, and Control R, and I'm going to go like this. And I'm also going to bring in a vertical edge loop, and I'm going to do that. So I'm sort of boxing out that region here. Let's show you like that. This region where I'm going to have to get that structure. All right, and what I'm really going to be doing is deleting some polygons here. So let's go into solid view, and we know we're going to delete this, Shift and click this one, and Shift and click this one. And I'm going to go X, delete faces, because I'm in face selection. And I get a hole. All right, hang on. We're going to fill that hole up. Go into vertex selection, and we're going to choose 4 points and make a face, make a new face like this. 1, Shift and click 2, 3, 4. Now a lot of people get rid of the gizmo, hide it. 4 points, and then F to make a face. That's a quad. Let's see if we can do another 4. What if I do 1, 2, and you reused the same points. And these ones, 3, 4. I make a big one there. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, F. Done. We've filled it in and we've made our cutaway like that. All right. All right, what are we doing next? All right, we're going to do those structures there. You can't tell in the diagram, but there is another inset. It's narrower in. So this piece here is squeezed in a little bit. Let's see if we can make that happen here. Let's go into edit mode. Actually, let's not go into edit mode. Solid. I mean, wireframe. Yeah, we do. I need to put an edge loop here so I can define the region. Just click and pull it. No, don't hit that. A to deselect. I'll go back to solid. So I can define the region where I want my inset. Now, I don't want to just get rid of it like that. I want to try clicking all of these. And I want to pull them in. Let's get this back. But not in the Y direction. And make a little bit of an indentation. I don't think I went far enough. Let's see, let's try this. All right, so we're going to extrude, but not in the Y. E, Shift Y, and pull them in. In fact, let me do that again. Let's go back 1. I think what I'll do is I only want to pull it in on the X. I don't think I want it any shorter, do I? And take it back. I don't want to pull it in this way. I only want it thinner in the X direction. So I'll show you what I mean. I'm sorry if that's a bit confusing, but E, scale X. That's what I wanted. Let's have a look at that. That's what I wanted to do. Okay. And now, with that done, sorry if that was a little bit weird, I want to do these things. And I'm thinking the easiest way to do it might be to bring in actual cubes. So let's go back into solid mode and let's select this face, because that's roughly where I want to bring it in. Shift S, cursor to select it. I'll do this in object mode for these, and I may join them. Let's bring in a cube and scale it. And let's have a look at this. Let's bring it up here. Let's scale this in the Z, get the approximate height of this thing. Let's box select this and pull it back. And let's have a look. Okay, so there it is, and it's too wide, right? Let's scale this in the X. And let's say, if it, let's go into solid. If it was just like that, it'd be nice if it was equal, wouldn't it? Or does it have to be equal? I just mean the distance here and the distance there. Would it look nicer? It doesn't follow the diagram. If it was sort of like that, can we go off of the diagram to do that? Can we agree on that or no? Again, if I have it out here, it might look just fine. I could do it like that for now. Shift D, let's just pull another one down. Shift D to duplicate, pull another one down. Just doing it by eye, trying to get the rough position, and then we'll have a look at these. We can change all of them at the same time if we want to pull them in more. Let's just have a look at that in object mode. And that's what we get. I think I will check it out shorter. I'll select all those front faces, shift and select all the front faces, and in side view no, not in side view, not in wireframe. I want to sort of match the thickness, so I'm just going to pull them in like that. I won't even deselect. I'll just have a look. Jeez, I don't know. I can't decide which I like better. I might like that better. So I think I'll just leave them like that. I think I'll take these and I'll take that and I'll go Control J and join them. So that's one object now. Okay. What's next on this? Is there anything? There might be some screws or something that I put down. I'm not sure if I was going to do that. Okay, we got the bevel there to do. Let's do that. Let's deselect that, and in edge selection, let's grab this edge, and we can do this edge at the same, not that edge, at the same time. We'll have to be careful beveling that we don't hit this edge right here. I mean, I could move that if I really wanted to, but I don't want to bother you with that. Let's just Control B. Okay, see the way it's coming close? That's all I have to do. That's good enough. That will get the point across that it's curved. Now, can we do more work on this? Shift Alt and click that edge, and that's all we get. It may be harder to put our bevel. I want to follow this edge up around the side and up towards the top and down there. And maybe I'll do down to here as well. We'll see. Maybe not that part. I'm not sure about that part either. This takes more time and thought, and I'm not explaining it very well. If you want to just follow the edges that I use, and I'm not certain what happened. How did I lose that? I guess I took my hand off it. I'm holding Shift and Alt actually, and I'm getting those. I've released that. Oh boy, where am I going to go here? Let's try beveling that first. Control B. Oh, I got something on the bottom. Or, you know what? Select it all and try remove doubles. No, I didn't have anything. Alright, maybe I won't come down that far. I'll just come to there. Well, should be able to go down to there. I'm just holding shift and I'm clicking. I'm trying to, like, just imagine like a little river, you know, that goes through this up to there. Let's try Control B there. I'm pushing back. Right here is ugly. You know, short of reorganizing some of the polys and stuff, I don't really feel like doing that. All right, I'm gonna have it go one more time. This brings it to another level of not, you know, beginner stuff, and I apologize for that. You know, this isn't critical that you do this, especially if you were just learning how to model. That's the important part. Let's try a bevel right there, actually. Yeah, it's that stupid edge there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Can I dissolve these? And what do I get if I do that? Oh, this one ending here. Do I need this one? Or does it get all crazy? Let's try that. That could work. Nah, it's not very pretty, so we're not going to bother with that. All right, well, let's just move on. And anyway, I'm gonna do something cool anyhow, so might as well do it now. That'll make it look better. Sorry about that. This technique isn't always really neat and tidy, even though it seems pretty simple. Let's come over to the materials. Let's see if I have a material. I don't. Let's go new. Let's go orangey yellow. All right, and down in settings, choose viewport, and with the eyedropper, choose that color, and then choose everything that you want to have that color. Okay, in fact, the most of the gun for the time being. All right, I'll even do the trigger that color. Okay, let's create another one, or just hit the plus to make a copy of it, and change this to black. Actually close with that. And viewport, choose black. I guess the trigger's black. And that knob there, and the front part, the barrel, and this. Okay, now I know it's getting a little bit hard to see, so I want to add another effect to this. And that is on the square here, and come down to and choose wire. All right, and choose all of your objects, and then just click on wire. And that will add the wire around them and give it that kind of Tron kind of look. And I think I'm going to be doing it just like this, because it is low poly, and I like this effect. You know, you can just leave that on like that. It looks kind of cool. All right, and then the fact that this one didn't get the bevel doesn't look so bad. Now, of course, you can add a bevel modifier. You know, that's going to add to your polys, and you may have some success with it. You may not. I'm not going to do that though. Okay, so let's see where we're at so far. We got most of it. We got to do something up here though. Let's go back into edit mode and wireframe. We can still see through. And we got this little cutaway where the bullet would go. And to do that, I'm going to have to put a line in here, and a line in here, and a line in there. So I'm going to use an edge loop, Control R, click and pull, and Control R, click and pull. And that will put an edge loop all the way around my cylinder right there. Now, in a perfect world, wouldn't it be nice if it was this face and this face and this face, and all we had to do was delete them? And that would be easy. I could just go X, delete faces, and we'd have our cutaway. But that's not the way I designed this. As you can see, the cutaway is somewhat higher. So I am going to have to do something else. I'm gonna use the knife tool. All right, I'm gonna cut the specific region I want. So I'll zoom in here, and in wireframe, I'm gonna select knife or hit K, and I get the knife, and I get this floating sort of square, and it changes color when I hit an edge. I'm gonna click there, pull across. Oh, I can't go straight. Hit C to go straight. Touch the other one, click, and enter. And I've made another cut right there. I've split this polygon into two, and I can have this region. But it didn't go through on the other side. And if I try to turn this around, and instead of 3, I go Control 3, well, my diagram doesn't match that. But it doesn't really matter. I could come in here, K, and do this. And I get the other one. And they should be pretty close to where I need them. And that's fine. That's close enough. All right, in face selection and in solid, I'm going to select this face, and this face, and this face, instead of going all the way down. And let me just hide those for the moment. H to hide. There's my like little that cockpit, like a spaceship. And so you could use this to make a spaceship, low poly spaceship. Wouldn't it be cool though if I made a door that sort of flipped open? It's not what I have in the diagram. I just have a bullet. Let's Alt H to bring those back. If this thing sort of flipped back, let's do that. Let's break this away from the model and make it a new object so we can rotate it. Let's go, while it's selected, P, separate, enter by selection, and go back into object mode. And I have this piece here. In fact, let's set origin to geometry. This piece and this piece. This piece I want to rotate out like a little trap door. But I want it to rotate along this edge, around that edge, so it rotates like a door on a hinge. So select the edge you want it to rotate around, Shift S, cursor to select it. Bring the 3D cursor there. Say 3D cursor, come on over here. Come down here and switch to 3D cursor. Pivot point is the 3D cursor. If you now go back into object mode, the 3D cursor's there. I can rotate around the y-axis like this, R, Y, and just pull. Or swing my mouse around. And I get that. All right. Now, at this point, this stuff is paper thin, the whole model. So let's come over here under the wrench, add modifier, solidify. And I'm okay with just a default value. I don't need this to be thick. Now it looks like there's some thickness to this. Let's do the same here though. Add modifier, solidify, and the default. All right. Now, if this wire starts to get annoying, you can, for the time being, you can uncheck it. All right. I'll just do that for the moment. Cool. Now, what do we do here? I was thinking earlier, let's go into vertex, that I would fill this in. 1, 2, 3, 4, F to make a face. 1, 2, 3, 4, F to make a face. 1, 2, 3, 4, F to make a face. And now, if I do that, this thing just covers up that little area. And let's put the wire back on this so it's consistent for the moment. What if we did that? And you can even do a breakaway view. You could take this and lift it up a little bit so it looks like it's, popped off. And you get the idea that, okay, so that detaches. And in fact, maybe it does detach. Maybe it clips right off. I don't know. Let's model the bullet. And this one's in the way. That's okay. Let's 3D cursor there. Oh, by the way, don't forget to go back to median point. All right. Shift A. What do we want? Mesh. Cylinder 8. Rotate X 90. Scale. Bring it up. Scale. Wireframe. Let's go right in the middle of this bullet. Scale. Okay. Scale Shift Y. We got the length. Let's get the. Okay. Scale Shift Y. Make it bigger this time. Okay, cool. Got to do one of these kind of angle things. Can we just grab that and go Control B? Let's find out. Don't go to a point. Something like that. Now it looks okay. Looks like a pencil. And to do this region, I think what we'll do is we'll put an edge loop in here and drag it right to there. Is that what I want to do? Yeah. We'll do that. Let's get out of wireframe so you can see what's going on. And then we'll grab this end, Control plus, and get that. And then we'll just we'll E to extrude, Scale Shift Y, and we'll start bringing it in like this. Scale Shift Y, like that. All right, good enough. Bring this out if you want. No, not that much. Not that. That's good enough. But we should bevel this edge though. And we should bevel this edge actually. Control B, pull them. We don't have to look at the diagram for that. We can just do them as much as we want. There's our bullet. Just sort of modified bullet anyhow. It's not centered. No, that's the only thing, is it? It's not centered. It's on that thing. So top down, we'll no, not that. Grab your bullet. Pull it right about there. Pull it down. Let's set origin to geometry so it's right on the bullet. And I mean, this is what I had in the diagram. Let's, I don't know what color that is. Let's make it black just for the time being. And put the wire on it. So we're being consistent. I don't think I need to do another one up there. You know? If you wanted to, you could come into the model and you could select particular faces. For example, if I select this face of all of these and I go Control plus, and I've got all of that selected, I could then come over to the colors, materials, hit the plus, choose the black, and then assign. And I could make just those groove parts black if I like that look. Maybe this part, select that, Control plus a few times and see if I got everything I needed. I could select the black and assign to there. Maybe this, maybe I needed these, that one and this one. Select the black and assign. Let's see if that looks right. You know? Yeah. And of course, if you've got the wire on like that, and if you click the render button down here for like an just OpenGL render, you'll get that. So you could save that as your render. Or again, if you wanted to, you could get, you can get rid of the lines, or maybe you can make it all black. And maybe that's what you like. Nah, I don't like that as much. Yeah, I wonder if I can. No, I can't do more than one. So you could take these off. But like I say, I like it with the wire on. It just gives that sort of low poly look. from the side, and then you could turn off the background image, you know, if you like that kind of orthographic view, and you could render that. So that's it for the low poly rifle. Thank you for watching.